Yo, what is up, guys? XRP's at $1.38 right now on CoinMarketCap. Patrick Bet-David just went on record saying XRP hits $1,000, and the reasoning he gave is something almost no other analyst is talking about. Stick with me for the next 60 seconds, and I'll show you whether he's actually right. Don't click off. Our first tweet comes from CoinDesk. ICYMI. The U.S. Senate releases Clarity Act compromise text banning stablecoin yield on reserves while preserving activity-based rewards, clearing the path for a banking committee markup after months of negotiations between crypto firms and bank lobbyists. Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Square. If you like this video, like plus retweet if you're part of the XRP movement. Real quick, if you want to catch every billionaire XRP prediction before the mainstream picks it up, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so YouTube actually notifies you. And drop your answer in the comments. Is Patrick right about $1,000 XRP, or is he way off? I read every single comment and pin the best ones. The bigger this comment section gets, the harder YouTube pushes this video to other XRP holders who need to see it. Let's get this to 10,000 comments. Now back to the breakdown. Our next week comes from Bull Runners HQ. What will happen if XRP replaces Swift? Explained by Patrick Bet-David. Let's watch this video.
He decides to, all of a sudden, they replace Swift. Let's say that happens. If XRP replaces Swift and FedNow, you know what happens? Let me give you some numbers here. XRP's ledger processes transactions in 3 to 5 seconds at nearly no cost, making it significantly faster and cheaper than Swift. So, Swift processes $5 trillion daily, or 1.25 quadrillion annually. If you didn't know what that was, quadrillion annually, Swift. If XRP captures 5 to 10% of volume, let's just say 10% of volume, $125 trillion annually. The demand for XRP, by the way, it could be any of these other technologies we're talking about. Analysts estimate that a $10 trillion market cap could push XRP's price to $100 per token, with full replacement potentially driving it up to $1,000. Now, who those analysts are, I'm willing to bet those analysts own Ripple. And that's why they're writing this. Hey, analysts, just because I say analyst says, it doesn't mean they're 100% right, but hey, it is a way of looking at what could happen with this. If this were to happen, it's a big deal. Now, the roadblock that they have are a couple things. One is the SEC lawsuit.
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says banks and Swift push back against XRP, even forcing it out of a major event. Let's watch this video.
So, as I mentioned this morning, this is our 9th swell. Some of you remember, there are a few people that were here for part of this, but the concept of swell popped up in 2017, and it was the reaction to Swift wouldn't let us attend Sibos. Some people don't know, it's a true story. We couldn't get space, a booth at Sibos, and so we decided, this is in Toronto, and we decided, Sibos, the land of big banks, we were the disruptors, literally. So we went down the street, we hosted our own event, and admittedly, it was a little bit of a warehouse. It wasn't nearly what we have today, but it was anchored by speakers like Ben Bernanke. And I think very quickly, Swift regretted their decision because they created more of a monster by pushing us out. Well, 9 years later, the world looks profoundly different. Some of the biggest financial institutions in the world are here in this room with us. But it's not just them. We have the prime brokers, the application builders, the investment banks, the ETF issuers, as we just discussed, and everyone in between. Crypto and blockchain have moved from being taboo words to being part of the fabric of society. And let's be clear. You are all part of this movement. In fact, you all are this movement. So thank you. I am beyond grateful to have witnessed this fundamental shift in how the financial layer of the internet is changing and evolving. The work is nowhere near done, but if the conversations over the last 2 days have proven anything, it's that although we have come a very long way, we are all just getting started. I've said this before, but it is truly, and I say this somewhat humorously, an amazing time to be alive. We are witnessing the rewiring of financial infrastructure. We're witnessing enabling things that were simply not possible before. It truly is, I believe, the economic opportunity of a lifetime to enable and catalyze this rewiring. I'm extremely proud that Ripple has been leading from the front, both with lawsuits, but in a lot of other ways as well. So for over a decade, we've been leading with transparency, we've been leading with a compliance-first posture, And we've been leading with the goal of championing not just XRP, but the entire industry. I feel extremely lucky to have had the privilege of leading this company, and of course, an honor to be part of the larger XRP community. All right, so before I sign off and let everyone get snacks and drinks, one important public service announcement. I'm excited to share with you guys that our 10th swell is going to be a little bit different. As you guys know, the swell has tended to cater towards the institutional audience. We've had separate events like Apex that is catered to developers. But we are excited to expand swell to include not just financial institutions and payment providers or asset managers, but bring in the developers, bring in the investors, bring in the researchers, bring in the academics, and the broader XRP community who we've hosted at other events. This is going to be one single beacon event. Will be hosted by Ripple next year, back here in New York City, and we look forward to welcoming you all there next fall.
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. This month we will finally get clarity according to Senator Cynthia Lummis. Prepare for crypto to skyrocket. Our next tweet comes from SmokeDQG. Ripple Treasury CEO explains why Ripple is an ideal long-term home for G Treasury. These are the reasons why G Treasury chose Ripple over other fintech companies to acquire them. Enterprise-grade blockchain XRPL, institutional-grade custody, Ripple Custody, prime brokerage, Ripple Prime via hidden road acquisition, payments ISO 20022, compliance 90% plus of FX market, 75 plus global licenses, 90 billion on Ripple's balance sheet, directly from Ripple Treasury webinar. Listen closely. Let's watch this video.
So first, Ripple, maybe I'll take a step back and talk a little bit about the acquisition and why I thought this was a great partnership and a great long-term home for G Treasury. For those of you tracking G Treasury over the last 10 years, we've obviously had lots of acquisitions that we've done ourselves, and we've had many different investors into the business. So as it came time to think about a strategic acquisition, a long-term home, obviously there were a lot of people in the blockchain technology and the fintech world that were interested in G Treasury. Why was Ripple the place that I thought was a great long-term home? First of all, I think the capital structure of Ripple allows us to invest in an incredible way. So we'll talk a little bit about G Treasury, but you know, Ripple has 90 billion on the balance sheet with no debt, and that frees yourself to think about a 10-year horizon. And Ripple does that across their organization, and I think that permeates across everything they do, and that's a great partnership for us as we think about Ripple Treasury and what we'll be able to do. The second is more foundational. As we looked at the disruption that's happening in digital assets, we wanted to find someone who was looking at enterprise technology. There's a lot happening here, a lot of innovation. And one of the things that was important to me are how are we going to find a home where the buyer of G Treasury is focused on the enterprise and has that constantly in mind. And everything that Ripple does is enterprise grade. That's both the technology themselves, the blockchain that underlies everything at Ripple is enterprise focus. That means security, that means regulatory items, and they have all the pieces to be able to put all this together for the G Treasury clients. The second is what they've done from an acquisition perspective means not just acquiring G Treasury, but they bought Hidden Road, which is now Prime Broker. They obviously have an incredible focus on FX payments, which has so much friction in it across the world. And I think that focus is something that we will be able to take advantage of. And finally, their global licenses. I was really impressed on how they're attacking one of the really challenging parts in the financial environment, which is making sure they are licensed in all the places they need to go do. So, and then the final piece, which I think you'll hear me talk about, is this 10-year view, right? So as we thought about this, we wanted to make sure we were going to a partner and a final home that would not drive and force adoption of anything our clients didn't want to do, but yet do two things for us: invest into the entire platform capability support of G Treasury, but also
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Subscribe.